Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I am Jason. Zack is with me once again. Round 2, 3 today. What are we?
3.
Round 3 today.
3 podcasts today.
We are cranking these out, baby.
Yeah. We're doing this a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's good. We have a big event coming up.
It's fights.
Fights coming up. Like one of the biggest cards of the year. I'm super excited for it.
I mean, it's the biggest card of the year because there's been like 4 cards of the year.
Yeah, there's some fights this weekend, but it was supposed to be a big card, but we won't comment on why it's not. But
okay, I feel bad. Yeah, it'll be good.
I am super excited about our guests. I've been wanting to get you guys on since we started doing this, so I am super excited to welcome Mitch Ramirez and Soula. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name because I don't want you guys choking me out at the fight. So Soula, Mitch, Soula, okay, Soula. Welcome. Very nice to meet you guys since I've never met you guys in person.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Thanks for having us. We're excited to join you guys finally as well.
Well, you guys are fighting on the same card. What's that going to be like?
Again, we've done this.
You guys have done it before
together.
Yeah, well, technically second go because the second one, we both thought we were fighting on the same card, obviously, until 3 hours before, and then she was just fighting. So that was like the whole build up in the camp, though, was still like, an experience. I think that the more we do it, the better we get at it.
What's the household like that?
Yeah, it's yeah.
I think it's I like it. I think it's cool.
My wife and I both compete in bodybuilding. There's no way that both of us are going to do a prep at the same time. Like it just, we would kill each other.
On my end, well, because I do 90% of the housework, so on my end,
Mitch,
it's not fun. But I will say this though. I will say there are other fight couples that have fought on the same card, but we're a fight couple who's fighting on the same card during COVID. So I dare you to beat us.
Well, there's another couple fighting on the card.
Yeah, I do.
Your opponent.
I do. I saw that. I know that because of the podcast. That's the only reason I know that.
Oh, so you've heard my comments. Okay. So if you want, I'm pulling for you. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're working hard.
We're working hard. We won't disappoint. Let's just say that we won't disappoint.
Yeah. Hey, Mitch, I'd like to give you some crap for not doing more of the housework, but my wife would probably my wife would probably be like 10% more than Zack does, which is fair. I don't do a lot either. So
I'm going to make sure she can comment, by the way,
takes
Zack.
out the garbage.
I do more than that. I most of the time I'm pretty good at remembering, but every once in a while I'll admit it, forget. I get in a rush. I'm trying to get out the door to go to work in the morning or something. Dish doesn't get done. Whatever else, right?
How often do you guys use the excuse of you get punched a lot in the head?
Quite a bit. I think
both of us. Yeah, I use it.
Yeah.
So we both work at my family's diner over the weekends, and we forget stuff there. And I just look at the other person. I'm like, I'm sorry. I get hit in the head a lot. And they look at me like, and then they look at him, and they're like, no,
you stop
it.
Right? Not like that.
Where's your family's diner?
It's in West Jordan. It's called Jim's. It's on 7600 South and Redwood Road. And Mitch and I both work there on weekends. So Friday nights, Saturday and Sundays, all day basically. So come say hi.
Nice.
I will do that.
Yeah, for sure.
After fight camp.
Hey, mention that you came in because you saw the podcast, and I'll give you a discount.
Yes.
Deal.
Yeah.
Is that for anybody listening?
Anybody listening.
All right. You guys heard it here. What's the restaurant again?
It's called Jim's Family Restaurant.
Oh, Jim's.
You have to come to my location, though.
Okay.
And it's on 7600 South and Redwood Road. And if you come in during a weekend while I'm there, I will for sure hook it up and give you a discount if you drop the podcast name.
Boom. Yeah. Look at that.
And you're a good tipper. Don't like
cheap.
Yeah, you better not be cheap. Well, I mean, if you watch their highlight videos, you better watch their highlight videos, and I guarantee you won't be cheap.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, I love people. I always laugh because everybody's always like, oh, and they find out what I do or whatever, and they're like, but you're so nice. And I'm like, I'm really nice because I exercise my demons,
Yeah.
If I didn't have this, I might not be that nice. But like that's like I get it all out there when I'm training, when I'm fighting, right? That's like I'm like I don't have the energy for like regular life disagreements and like anger most of the time.
It's crazy.
You just don't.
You see that a lot in the top fighters. You see that a lot with those top guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a different mindset. Like
it's just I don't know. I think it's like a lot of the time too. It's like most of the time, the person that doesn't have anything to prove is the one that isn't going to prove anything, right? And the person who feels like they have something to prove is always the one that's going to like do something or act a certain way, right? So, I mean, I always like to surprise people with that because I feel like it's good for our sport too. It's like as far as like just because I do this or we do that, and on the surface, if you're not familiar with it, it seems pretty crazy, at times brutal, whatever else you want to call it, right? Like it is honorable, and the people that do it are some of the best people in the world, not just athletically and skill wise, but as people too. It's like you're constantly humbled in the sport. So
live like a martial artist.
Yeah, it's and that's why I think that like when she says, during camps it's kind of hard, and what I'm like, I love it because like the energy of the home is like it's like warrior code. It's like
awesome.
This is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're doing it. Like I feel like I like it. It's like I don't have to. I have a lot of buddies and people that like home life is a distraction from fighting, and my home life is intertwined with fighting. So like for what we do, like it's like it's good.
I think what he means is that we have a really good support system at home.
Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
we get it,
Like we get it. Like, all like little things that couples like argue about, everything just kind of gets pushed to the side. Like we both just understand. Like
it's like you snapped at me because this is your third practice today, and you have only eaten like one meal because you got sidetracked for some reason, whatever else, right? So I'm not going to react, and you're just going to do your thing, and I'm going to let you eat and calm down, and then we'll talk later, kind of thing.
That's awesome. You got to have that balance in there, and I mean, I've kind of gone through that with my wife, where I'm getting ready to do a show, and you get 2 weeks out from a show and you're depleted and no energy, lots of cardio. For me, I'm talking on my part, and it's like I mean, I'm snapping at everything. Like I can't see my clients during the last 2 weeks. I'm like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about you not being able to make time for this or make time for that. Like let's just get this over with.
Oh, dude.
So I get it.
My mom's always like, I love you, but the closer you get to a fight, you're kind of an asshole. And I'm like, it's because it's like everything's like it's like the the pyramid's climbing. All my like energy and my aggression and like all the work is like getting focused, getting laser beamed at a goal now. So it's like that's all that matters. It's not even like I try to be rude, but I'm just like intense.
100%. Yep.
And then you obviously, you start to diet hard and you're getting ready to cut weight, you're doing those things. So you're probably not feeling, the greatest, on top of your hard training camp is coming to an end, right? So you're probably in the worst part of it towards the end there.
Yeah.
But we choose to do it. So
that's right.
Might as well do it well.
Yeah. The support system's huge. Like my wife, she's always been really good about understanding, like when I'm like getting close, that like, get a little edgier, you get a little this, but she unequivocally tells everybody I've only been training for like 3.5 years. I am a calmer, happier person since I've been fighting.
Oh, for
100%.
For sure, man. I mean, in my life, I've definitely experienced that.
Martial arts just makes you a better person.
Yeah.
Like if you do it right, you know what I mean? And you actually like learn, and because what it is, it's building your mind, it's building your heart, it's building your discipline. It overall makes you a better person. It makes you more grounded. It makes you happier. And like, that's the whole point. You know what I mean? Like most martial arts, the point isn't to go be a world beater. It's to become a better person. It's to become, go down the correct path in life. But the martial arts that we chose to do just kind of happens to do both. So
happens to have some stigmas about fighting in a cage and stuff like that too.
Yeah. Right. It's like, I mean, I think she means like just like, because I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like people try to put distinctions between like there's different, like you always hear the whole thing of like, some people say it's a fighter or an athlete, right? Something like that. Like there's a difference, and then there's also like this like the stigma between like, oh, are you a fighter? Or are you like, not like a stigma necessarily, like, are you a fighter? Or are you a martial artist? Like, what do you identify as? Right. So like and for us, you know, I feel like we like anytime like somebody asks me like, or like anytime I get like, for instance, like the thing that says, oh, describe your style or describe your, you know, your strengths or whatever else. Right. And like one thing that I have always put down is, you know, my style is I'm a martial artist. Right. And for me, that's being, you know, honorable. It's being disciplined. It's being analytical and strategic in my approach towards whatever I'm doing. Right. Whether that's my opponent or my conditioning or my nutrition or whatever else. Right. Like, to me, growing up like a martial artist was like always somebody with like extreme discipline, right? The guy who could like, you know, meditate for hours and break boards and so, you know, that kind of, you know, that was like, as a kid, like that's what I like saw in the martial artist was like resolute discipline. So I think that's,
I think it's up to us to set the standard.
Yeah. I think that's like, you know, and that's the thing. I mean,
do you want to be the guy that bows to your opponent at the end and gives them a hug and like, you know what I mean? And like, it's supportive. And especially if like, I feel like the females too, if we want to touch on that, like it's already hard enough to be a girl in the sport. You know what I mean? Like we should really be supporting each other regardless of feelings or whatever. We should be supporting each other.
You do it. You could do whatever you'd like. That's fine. I'm going to do me.
Yeah. But, and you know, I mean, being supportive of another fighter,
that's cool.
Really like, strongly suggest that the other females in the sport support each other. But would you rather be the guy that bows and has a great applause and a great outlook on everything, or would you rather be the guy that everybody starts booing because you just flipped off the guy that you just knocked out, who happens to be a really good guy?
Yep.
Well, you know, I've always said it too. And there's nothing like when you finish a fight. Mitch, you've had a couple nice finishes. You know, there's a wave of emotions that comes like at that moment. And I'll never forget one of the most jaw-dropping things I've ever seen was, did we lose them? Oh, there
we're here.
No, sorry, one of the most jaw-dropping things I've ever seen was.
For a second, I fixed it. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Zack Cavender, when he knocked out Eric Iman, like brutally knocked him out, and he immediately went to his knees and just like waited to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
And that to me was like the epitome of like why I love this sport, that I think just too many people don't understand, and they don't see that side of it. Yeah. They see people like me who freak out after it's over, you know, like, cause I'm just like, you know,
dude, it's a tidal wave of emotions, man. When you get a big finish like that, like it's like, because for me, it's like the embodiment of the vision that I've been like that I've had in my head for weeks, right? I've lived that moment in my mind so many times by the time I step in there that like when it happens, it's almost like a rush that like it happened. Does that, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah, 100%.
Like and all that hard work, you know, everything you put into it and the hours and the weight,
pain,
you know, it's everything, right? So for me, I've definitely been guilty of, I mean, absolutely devastating somebody and like just not. And
yes, you have
absolutely, you know, exploding with like with that moment of joy, you know. But like, I feel like both of my last fights with the way that I finished the guys, I feel like on both of those, like there's that excitement that comes over me and I celebrate and I'm riding high. But on both those guys took a second to wake up, right? Because they were pretty bad knockouts. And I remember like both times I'm like, you know, when I realize the guy's still on the ground, then I'm like, oh crap, you know, I come back to earth a little bit and I go, you good? You know, I kind of like
you have the initial
that head kick, dude. I'm not gonna lie, dude. When he was laying there after like 2 minutes, dude, and when his head hit the floor, his eyes were wide open, dude. I was like, man, like that's why I didn't hit him again, right? Some guys just jump on a guy and him, but like when I hit
but you know when it's over too.
Like the sound that my shin made on his head, dude, and like the way his head hit the floor after, like I was like, I'm not gonna hit him again, dude. Like I wouldn't want a guy to hit me again, so I'm not gonna hit him again. You know,
you didn't have that super necessary mentality, bro.
Super necessary.
No, I mean, and the guy was respectful. You know, we had no issue either. You know, the guy, he's a tough fighter, right? Trains hard too, and you know, I feel like if you give a guy too many when he's in a state like that, and you might take some time off his career, you know. So
undoubtedly for sure.
Yeah, that's
and I don't want for me, it's not about that. You know, I mean, if you
Right.
like did something real bad to me, I mean, I'm sure emotions can run high, you know, but I've never gone in there with the intention of like, to like legitimately permanently injure this person.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's never my intention going in
No.
there. You know, it's to incapacitate him in a way that allows me to get the win and move on to the next.
So I've
Like
shared
her.
the story. I've shared this story about you a few times, Mitch, and you probably haven't heard it. So my third fight, we were in the same corner. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
It was your pro debut, right?
Okay.
And you knocked out that kid from Vegas. So I had just won my fight. I was sitting with my family. That was my third fight, but that was the first time my dad had ever been to a MMA event, live MMA. He missed my first 2 fights. And when you knocked that dude out, he turned to me and he goes, "You're never going to have to fight anybody like that, right?" And I went, "Nope."
Nope.
He's like, "That was the most terrifyingly awesome thing I've ever seen."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "That's pretty good." So there you go.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, man. And hey, hopefully he was entertained, man. Hopefully that gave him that little itch to want to watch some more MMA.
He doesn't love MMA. He doesn't love that I fight. That's what he says. But like, dude, he digs it. How could you not? It's the best.
He's low-key proud though, you know. Like he's like,
oh yeah.
He's like,
no, he
doesn't wanna
digs
admit
it. Well, like, we caught him like once. Like he'll whenever like my parents know now. Like if they invite me over on a Saturday night, like fights are going to be on.
Yeah,
They
Sure.
if they invite us over and it's a Saturday night, either I'm staying home and watching fights, or they can allow the fights to be there. But either way, I'm watching.
You're
fights.
watching the fights.
So, and he'll sit down and watch it with me now.
Nice.
My mom's not a big fan of me fighting either, or MMA in general, but she gets really committed when court fights though. When court's on,
Oh, nice.
nobody talks
Really?
to my mom. She's like, "That's court. He's gonna do well." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
She's just. I know her dad's always like. He's always like giving me shit too, you know, about like. You know, I'll pull up on my motorcycle or something. He's like, "What the hell are you riding that thing for? Fighting people and riding motorcycles?" And I'm like, "Why? How can you not?" Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Do things that make me happy.
It's fun.
There you go.
Well, and her too.
Yeah, there you go. Smart
Yeah.
man. My dad he's at all the fights because he does security at the Union Event Center. So he's always back there in the back. He usually tries to get in one of the corners, you know, the security guy that's in front of the door. He usually tries to get in there so he can watch the guys warm up and all that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, dude, that's good energy.
Good.
I'd want to do that. That's like, there's nothing like that energy in that back room though. Before, like,
Nope.
That's what I always describe to people, like especially like the Union Event Center or something, where you're like pretty close to the crowd. Like the Maverick Center, you're not close to the crowd. Like,
feel it.
Yeah.
Experience where like there you feel like you're in like there, like the way they set us up, like you feel like a professional athlete there, right? Fighting for the LFA there, like dedicated locker rooms, got showers, you got like everything you need, and it's like you got your own little pod. You don't see anybody, you don't hear much of anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like your little safe spot, right? Like you're chilling. You got the base camp. Where like at the Union Event Center, right? Like you can like the crowd is rumbling the door that you're sitting next to, right? It's like you're right there and you can feel that energy the whole time, right? And like I remember
I adrenaline dumped my last fight.
Dude. So it's like a game of keeping yourself calm, right? And I remember like that's the way I describe it. And every single time, like when I'm in a venue like that, and like around people, because I remember fighting for Steel Fist and having fun doing that and everything, and like being in the back. This is one of my earlier fights, right, as an amateur, and it's like you've got the guy over here who's never fought, right? You can totally tell he's not trained. He's not prepared for what he's about to get himself into. Right?
Yeah.
He's scared as hell, right? He's over there. He's trying to like gas himself up a little bit, right? Like, but you can tell he's like, "Oh, I'm in over my head a little bit," right?
Yep.
And then you've got like you're like, middle of the people who've done it before, they're there, and then you've got your like super serious guys, right? Like the guys that are like either like the high level pros that are heading cards or whatever else, right? And I just remember like like the door shaking and everything else, and you're sitting there, and that scene from Gladiator always comes to my head. And when he's sitting in there and he's like not worried about where he's at, but like he looks around himself and he sees like the guy that he's chained to, and the guy pisses his pants, and like everything's all this craziness is going on around him, and the stadium shaking. That scene is always what comes to my head when I'm sitting in the back room like that.
We just had
every time.
we had Bobby King on the other yesterday. Was it yesterday or today? We've been doing so many of these. Anyways, he was talking about when he gets there, he just puts his headphones on and takes a nap until it's time to go.
Yeah. I've seen a couple guys do that.
I should probably do
whatever
that.
you can do to distract your mind and not get too excited.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys the same thing that I asked Bobby. If you have any tips for me, the difference of fighting. I've only fought in the Union Event Center. I fought 5 times in the Union Event Center. That is it. So the Maverick Center, got any tips? First time person fighting at the Maverick Center?
Dude, it's dope.
I'll have fun. I'm gonna have fun.
One thing that I always try, this is just a little thing that I like to do is either show up early or like before. Like this is what I did like before I fought at the Union Event Centers. I made sure and showed up like for my tickets or whatever else before, and I walked to the venue, right? And I walked down into the middle and I looked around at the stands and I looked up at the lights and I got accustomed to like how bright it was going to be. And I got like aware of like, right, I walked it first. I always, you know what I mean? And then like going in like the day of the fight, I always go walk that. I try to always walk that cage before I have to fight that day, right?
Cool.
So I feel the cage. I know the distance of the walk. I can kind of like, you know what I mean? And then it's not like, so the first time you see the lights isn't like, oh shit, I'm about to fight.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'd say. Because this is a big venue, dude. But it's a lot of fun.
I have a better tip for you than that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Here's your tip. So the security, the fighter security at the Maverick Center, not the commission guys, the actual Maverick Center security, they're sticklers, okay? So when you want to sneak in your victory cheeseburger, like you got to like really sneak it in because they'll take it.
Just tell my dad.
How dare they?
Like
just
you
tell
got
my
to get
dad.
like a jacket with deep pockets.
I'm sure my dad.
Burger and fries after. That's my tip for you.
Yeah, they held us up on a cheeseburger one time.
You got to be kidding me.
Joke.
Yeah.
I was gonna say tell my dad, but we're not gonna be there that night. I'm gonna miss it live. I mean, I'll be. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna be streaming it. Like I'm not gonna miss this. But my wife will be there live. She's gonna be sitting with Zach's family. But yeah, I'm going on a trip with my dad, and we've had planned for a while. So
nice.
But yeah,
I want to circle back. So you mentioned something earlier about the tough things about being a female. Like there's already enough things that are tough about being a female fighter.
Right.
I asked Sasha about this earlier today. I asked her specifically what's different and stuff about being a female fighter. I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, for one, you know, the obvious one, right? It's the size thing, right? I feel like the number one thing that I would say like the biggest one that I figured out about 3 fights ago was even so the guys like and I'm an atom weight, right? So not only am I a female, I'm the smallest of the females, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I figured out is when all my training partners for the most part at that time were all males. So even the smaller guys, when I would be like, okay, like they're showing me this, and especially like get-ups off the cage, things like that. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. And if I can do this to a 125-pound dude, I can for sure do it to a 105-pound girl. No problem, right? All right. Well, that creates a very unrealistic expectation, right? Because once you're in there and you're starting to realize like, okay, that guy was taking it a little bit easy on me and he was giving it to me, right? Because if he doesn't give it to you, then you're never going to be able to get it. And it creates this like weird, like, you know what I mean? Like I understand the technique, but I haven't practiced it and the right way in order to apply it in the cage. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
So the biggest obstacle for me was, and I've been lucky enough to find female training partners, both my size and a little bit bigger. And that has been the biggest game changer ever. Like that is my recipe to success right there is I train with females 100%. So biggest obstacle is that and try finding them.
That's
the problem.
You are fighters are a unique breed. Female fighters are even a more unique breed.
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very much so.
For sure.
We gotta have a little bit of crazy, a little bit.
Oh, we all got a little crazy in this. Yeah, Mitch is a little larger on the spectrum. But,
I'm
crazy.
That's all right.
Yeah,
if I had to pick like the number one thing, like that, it would be that. And then like the whole like the teammate fart sessions that y'all like to have, like it gets old. It really does.
Yeah.
Hey, don't throw me in there. I would never.
In a male locker room, essentially.
Mainly, but like, but you want to know something though? Like at the same time though, like even though it has its challenges and its obstacles, I also feel extremely privileged to get to experience that, because like I have all these like all these big brothers, even the ones that I'm older than in age, like they're still like my big brothers, you know what I mean? And I've like, I have this like this bond, and I care about them. And like, it's something that not that many girls get to experience. And I have like a whole team of these guys that I want to shake and just tell them I love them. But at the same time, like, it's like a family situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
For
care
sure.
about them a lot.
And they'd all kill somebody for you, and they probably can.
Yeah,
Right?
probably.
Yeah.
In fact, they actually can.
I'll never forget. I shared this again with Sasha earlier, but I'll never forget. There was one time he was a newer guy, I think trying to prove a point a little bit, and he was sparring a little too hard with our female fighters.
Yeah.
And I sat back for the next 5 rounds and watched him get his absolute, you know what, kicked for the next 5 rounds. And finally, the last guy was like, "You went way too hard with that girl. Like, chill out." And he was barely conscious at this point, but it was like,
yeah,
you know, it's
yeah.
the girls that are real fighters, like at the gym, the guys respect that so much, and you know,
there's definitely
all look after them too.
There's a definite distinction between the boys and the men, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
No doubt.
So you guys train together, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Spar.
We sometimes.
I mean,
like,
how
like,
but
yeah.
I mean,
it's hard.
Dude, we're just so different in size.
I mean, and that's just the thing. Like, it's like 2 different questions there, right? The first question is, are we able to spar each other? Sure, absolutely. It's like not a hard feelings kind of situation. Are either of us getting any real work in? No.
Yeah, it's more just
it's like a round off.
Like moving
if
around.
We're sparring is typically like we're both just like playing and like working, just warming up with timing and like shadow sparring. Because like the reality of it is like if I throw it with enough intent for it to land and it lands on her, it's probably too much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, I mean, not that she's, it is what it is, right? And I'm not saying that's with everybody, but like, in my experience, like I personally, and I've told her this, like, I love her. I don't like sparring with you. Like, I don't.
100%.
Like, you don't hit women, right?
Exactly.
You definitely don't hit your significant other or anything like, you know what I mean? Period. You don't hurt women. You don't hurt kids, right? And I know I hit hard, but she wants to spar with me. And I'm like, I don't want to spar with you because I don't want to hit you. Right?
Yeah.
It's like,
what if she called you pillow hands?
I prefer to just like not spar, train, hit pads, everything else. But like,
what if she called you pillow hands while you were sparring?
Pillow hands.
I'd probably be like, you're right.
You want to know? I probably would get, I don't know.
So how are you going to get Mitch to help with the post recovery with the massage gun? Because I saw him helping Siler out. I did see that. I did see that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you got to get some context to it.
You know what? It was explained to me through my messages. Apparently, bro on bro love is different.
Okay.
That's the big explanation there.
Well, here's the real story. Is so in my regular life outside of fighting, I'm a strength conditioning coach. So I'm the head trainer at Ultimate Sports Performance and Rehabilitation. So I work with young athletes mostly, right? Anywhere from like elementary age up to like high school and college age, and then, you know, spatterings of whatever else. But and like athlete development, right? So building speed, power, strength, all that kind of stuff, or whatever sport they play. So that's my like job during the week, right? So I've been training a lot with Siler for this camp, right? So I was a friend of mine. Me and him have been like we're like main training partners right now. We're sparring a lot, we're grappling a lot. Like me and him are like kind of sharpening each other up a little bit, and right. So we strength conditioned a little bit yesterday, and he was a little stiff from it. We sparred, and he was like, "Help me out." So you gotta help my boy out.
Just help it.
You know, back's a little tight. You know, nothing wrong with that.
She's
I'm a trainer. I'm a trainer. I put
she's not having it.
What I do for work.
She's not having it.
I just paid my co-payment to the chiropractor once a week.
Oh, that's awesome. So Mitch, you have a background in nutrition too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have it. So what I have a couple different certifications. I have a certification in sports and exercise nutrition. Okay. Certifications in performance enhancement, personal training, I'm currently in the process of getting certified and like basically analyzing slow motion video for biomechanics.
Oh, nice.
So basically like
Very
analyzing people running under super slow motion to be able to identify like basically injury prone or injury resistant behaviors and then train them in or out of those essentially, right? So
Okay.
I'm like, I don't look like it, but I'm a nerd, dude. Like I've got a big brain, and that's what I like to.
Well,
nerd
even if you look like it, nobody's gonna tell you that.
Nobody. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to like, argue with you
used to
about
wear
this.
glasses, and then I got my eyes fixed, so now I don't become four eyes anymore.
So you probably do you probably handle all your nutrition stuff for both of you guys, I'm assuming, then for weight cuts and things like that.
So we both kind of have our own little systems of nutrition. We kind of like have things that work for us individually, right? She's been doing this long enough that she's worked some kinks out with her stuff, and I give input whenever I feel like I need to or anything. Most of the time she's got it, but for the weight cutting, absolutely.
Weight cut,
I'm in charge of all of that.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. Before I met Mitch, my weight cut was I would literally weigh 105 pounds. Before, like I was like, I didn't cut weight because I was like, I'm just gonna die down. I got this. And then this has been a lot easier doing it his way. A lot easier.
Nice. Yeah, there's things to this you learn. I remember my very first weight cut. I didn't have anybody tell me what was going on. Nobody told me about, drink a lot of water so that you can flush your, like simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I thought I was dying. You got to remember, I was 270 pounds before I started training 3.5 years ago. Okay.
Yeah, right?
So I was thicker than a Snickers, and I'm coming down to my first fight is at 205. And I never wrestled. I played football, baseball, and basketball, but never wrestled, never did any sort of weight cutting thing really. I thought I was dying. And he's like, you're fine. Like, we're going to do this for another 30 minutes in the sauna. We're going to do this. And then we're going to take 5 minutes. We're going to go 30 minutes in the steam room. Then you're going to sit in the hot tub. Then you're going to go back in the sauna. And I'm like, I literally thought, I'm like, my body's shutting down. Like, this is how I'm going to die. I'm not going to die in the cage. I'm going to die trying to get there.
Seriously. Right. I mean, dude, cutting weight is like, it's one of those things that I wrestled growing up and stuff. So like first time I cut weight, I was 12. I was like 113 or 112. I had to make 108 for a tournament or something. And so that was my first experience weight cutting, was like putting Altoids under my tongue, putting on a bunch of clothes and running in circles and spitting into a can. That was like, as a 12-year-old boy, right? So like so for me, like cutting weight is like something that I'm pretty familiar and comfortable with. But like people that don't have that like wrestling background or even like haven't like experienced that and don't know that like it does feel like you're dying because essentially you're kind of on your way there.
Yeah.
Right. So it's definitely it's intense, man. Especially when you get over those last few pounds. It's not a lot of
experiencing something like that for the first time when you're 28, 29 years old. Yeah, you think you're dying. It's horrible.
For the record, Zach.
Sure. How could you like?
I was going to say, for the record, Zach, we can't see your comments on your Facebook page, but your wife told you to drink a lot of water.
I'm sure she
I'm
did.
just throwing you under the bus.
I'm sure she did. That's cool. My wife has actually always been really, really good about telling me that what I should be doing. I'm just not so great at listening. That's the
way
problem.
it usually goes.
She's super fit. She runs half marathons. I was 270 pounds. Like, whatever.
You're like,
and the only thing that motivates me to like not be that way is that I get in a cage and punch people in the face. So sorry.
Hey, go.
So with your background and stuff, we've talked to people before about this. What's some of do you have any like tips or whatever for cutting weight? Like things that people should be doing that you don't see a lot of people doing, or things that people do wrong that a lot of people do?
Hire a coach.
Right.
Hire him.
Hire Mitch.
That's his tip.
Yeah. I'll give a tip though. One thing that I see people do that I find to be really counterproductive is they start pulling weight too early, right? They think that you got to start pulling weight like 3 days out, right? Even like, they start this thing where like, it's like the week of the fight and they're like, oh, well, I can pull a pound off today and then I'll pull a pound off tomorrow and then I'll pull 2 pounds off the next day, right? And they start doing this thing where they're now dehydrating themselves slowly, and that ends up messing with some hormones that eventually they're going to end up backfiring, and your weight cut is going to get way, way harder because of it. You're going to spend way more time in the sauna, spend way more time in the tub, whatever your method is, right? So if there's one tip that I can tell people, it's the least amount of time dehydrated, the better. You know, don't go start taxing your system 4 or 5 days out in saunas and doing stuff like that, because your body will let you know in an unpleasant way that this is not okay.
Yeah, I think if you're taking this serious, hire a coach. Like, get somebody to monitor it, to oversee your nutrition. I mean, that's one of the most important things. You should be. Yeah. I mean, you should be act like a pro. If you want to be a pro, act like a pro at all times.
Yeah.
You know, eat good. You know, drink water. But you should be doing this months before and not having to try to slam it all in there 2 weeks out from a fight or whatnot. But I mean, I can't stress it enough. I'm obviously that's what I do for a living as well. And I can't stress it enough to just have a second set of eyes to, even if you know what you're doing, have somebody to just bounce things off of. Hey, this is how I'm feeling this today. Or, you know, here's what I'm looking like today. That's what I have a coach for. That's why I check in with him once a week. And, you know, even though I could probably tell you exactly word for word what he's going to say to me, it's still comforting to have that, you know, have that person to bounce that back off. That's awesome, man.
So, thank you. Yeah, I think that's, you got to have a coach, man. And anything you're trying to get good at, right?
Yep.
And I think weight cutting is probably, to be honest with you, weight cutting is arguably more dangerous than the fight itself, right? We've had more serious, like, organ injuries and deaths and stuff like that from weight cutting than we've probably had from, you know, just straight fighting at this point. So
100%.
You know,
100%.
That's like,
so dangerous.
Then you're going to fight in 24 hours, dude. So if you do it, you know, and you can either get help or you can learn the hard way. And learning the hard way, that's what I did. It took me a lot of years, right? I learned the hard way, and I studied and I applied myself and I learned these things and I trialed and errored all these things. And so sometimes went really well and sometimes went horrible, right? So I kind of earned my stripes a little bit there over my lifetime. So, and that's why now I, you know, can help other people.
That's awesome, man. Love it. Well,
do you guys want to?
We haven't even talked about your fights.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys want to talk about your opponents a little bit?
We haven't even talked about your fights.
I won't say anything, Soula. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but I mean, if you guys, I don't know. Like, what do you guys think? Like,
so we'll start with you, Mitch. Obviously Trevor's been around for a while. We've had him on the podcast before. He trains up there with Bobby King. Are you familiar? I'm sure you're familiar with him. I'm sure you've seen him fight. What's your thoughts on Trevor?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been aware of Trevor for a little while. Just he fought my teammate Dominic
Dom.
The same night on my last.
Shout out to Dom.
Yeah, shout out to Dom.
Hi, Dom.
But yeah, and Dom ended up, you know, getting the win in that one. It was a good fight, tough fight,
crazy fight,
nails, right? Wild fight. Both guys taking damage, right? So it was a favorite amongst the crowd for sure.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I mean, like I said, I've been aware of them. The way I approach fights, man, honestly, every guy is, you know, deserves respect, right? Regardless of a record, regardless of this or that, right? Like, every guy that's stepping in there and is going to fight me, I deserves my respect, right?
100%.
You know, because that takes guts, man. I mean, we're professionals, man, and like that's to even get there, right? To even be fighting in the Maverick Center and be fighting and doing this thing and being a professional is shows a level of discipline that I respect personally. So I'm always the guy that's like, I'll be your friend before, I'll be your friend after, but for that 15 minutes we're fighting, I'm going to try to kill you, right? I'm going to show you no mercy, and I expect the same from you, right? That's what we do. So, but outside of that, I've had interactions with him before. He's always been a nice guy. I've never.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he seems like a cool dude, man. I mean, I'm sure.
I don't know if you guys watched when Cody announced that fight. Me and Jason, like, our heads exploded. It's like that fight is like got fight of the night written all over it.
I mean, we know what you bring to the table, and we know Trevor's gonna bring it. Like, he's not gonna sit back. We saw his fight with Dom. Yeah. We saw his last fight that he had when he knocked the guy out. Like, I mean, he's gonna bring it. Like, it's gonna be an amazing fight. Like, I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. Have a guy across me that's not afraid to check him, not afraid to get into a fight. So
no, it's a pretty unique, to me, it's a pretty unique matchup of KO artist versus like KO artists. Like, that's what you guys are both going for. It's gonna, dude. I mean,
what are the odds?
Happy. I am so happy. I am so happy that my
That's the
fight
thing.
is
I mean,
early.
I got a wide skill set though, man. I'm actually far more experienced as a grappler than I am as a striker, to be honest with you. My grappling's a lot better.
That's
than my
terrifying.
striking.
That's terrifying.
So to be honest with you, right? Like, I mean, that to me, like, then that's what the embodiment of a martial artist is, right? Like, I constantly am plugging holes, plugging leaks in my game. That's all I do, right? So, I'm a purple belt under Dana Aristizabal and Ramsey Nijum, right? So I got my purple belt from those guys recently. Obviously, many years of wrestling experience, and then that's just something that I enjoy. I like grappling. Like striking is fun, and like think about like grappling is like my little safe space. I keep saying that. It's a ridiculous word, but not even safe. It's just my comfort zone. That's a better word for that, right?
Cool.
But
sorry, not thinking. I mean, not obviously we're not trying to think ahead, but I mean, if things go well, you get the W in this fight. What's next? Because I know Zack and I have talked about this multiple times on the podcast. We think you're next level. We think you're probably the next guy to Utah to get the shot. Or do you guys have plans for that, or do you plan on still kind of fighting locally for a couple more fights?
So for me, and with my management and everything, the plan, the trajectory is, get a few more W's, get to that 4-0, 5-0 position, and that'll put me in line to get on the Contender Series for the next season. Nice. And eventually secure a UFC contract. So that's my mind state, and that's always been my goal since I was like probably 14, was that I wanted to fight in the UFC, right? I mean, no hate on any other organizations, right? No hate on Bellator, no hate on PF. Those are dope organizations, and I'd be honored if any of those guys ever offered me a fight too. But for me, that mark, that goal since I was a kid and I first became aware of this sport, it was always the UFC. That was the I guess the ultimate goal, the best guys, the best of the best. How good are you really? Right. Well, so
I mean, the other leagues obviously carry a lot of clout and they're big names, and it's not a knock on them, but there is something different about saying I'm a UFC fighter.
100%. Yeah.
I agree.
It's different.
I mean, yeah, it's like, that you get no favors over there, dude.
Nope.
Who's going to beat you? Oh, that's who you're going to fight. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Nope. Not even a little bit. I mean, look at Sage Northcutt, right? He was like, he was they're going to be their golden boy. They didn't give him any favors.
No, man. It's like, but it's like, for me, like, that's like, that gets me up though. Like that threat of like, ooh, like you zig when you should have zagged, and you're going to wake up not knowing what happened. You better be ready. Right. That gets me excited. So
it gets me excited hearing you talk about it.
I know. I got goosebumps. This is going to be great.
Now you though.
Yeah. You're next. Talk about your opponent. You guys have you and your opponent have a common opponent, right? And you guys both fought Heather Torres.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like those two are probably very similar styles as to what they're going to try and do. The truth is that I don't know that much about Brittany. Okay. I will tell you what I do know about her. I know that she is better than her record. And I know that she will literally fight anybody. Like if they could call her tomorrow and say, hey, you want to fight Valentina Shevchenko? And she'd be like, okay. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you do have to respect somebody like that. And you do have to train very hard for somebody like that. Everybody's dangerous. You know what I mean? I am coming to bring it. I'm sure she is too. I'm sure she's going to have a point to prove as well. So, honestly, dude, the truth is that I go in there to do me. And that's kind of how I've always, the one time that I didn't do that, it kind of bit me in the ass, and I learned from that. So I focus on myself, and that's it. And I'm just going to go in there and put on a show.
I memean,
and that's just the end of that.
Get the fist fight.
I'm going to go in there and put on, I'm going to put on a show.
Yeah. I love it.
As critical as I've been towards her and her coach and everything, the one thing that I was adamant about was with her last fight and that whole fiasco was I knew that she wasn't trying to get out of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 0.4 pounds. Like that was on her coach. And that's where I was. And I said, that's what's really too bad is that a coach would I think that's what's,
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's too bad that the coach was telling her, no, you can't fight. She missed weight when she wanted to. And I was trying to explain that to people. I'm not a fan of her personally for obvious reasons. I think it's obvious, probably because I'm a dickhead, but
Jerk.
I'm not a fan of hers, but I wanted to be as fair as possible in saying she's never backed out of a fight. And I think you're right with that. Like she's game to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's game, you know,
she's game to fight. And that's all that matters. And you know what I mean? And it's like
she'll show up
if you're willing, because you want to know the truth. Like at the end of the day, like when we asked the promoters, hey, what are our options? She's the only one that would take it. Because let's be honest, like there's not that many small females that are like, I've done damage in every single fight that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like the last girl I fought ended up with a broken sternum. You know what I mean? Like I do damage. And at the end of the day, these girls are like, they're looking at me. I'm very young in my career and I do damage. So is it really worth risking it for $500 or whatever it is that they're paying? Like probably not. So she stepped up. So my hat goes off to her for stepping up and accepting the fight. And
agreed.
Yeah.
And other than that, I don't know the girl at all. And I don't care to know her until after the fight.
And like that's the thing too, is like you know, we have like no, I guess, any personal relationship with, I mean, I like I said, I've met my opponent in passing maybe 2 or 3 times. Kind of the same situation with her, maybe conversations on an Instagram post once or twice kind of thing. But, you know, that's like, I feel like we're already like,
we're professionals.
Yeah. You know, I just think I've personally fought a good friend of mine, and I've fought somebody who I really don't like at all. And inside the cage, it made absolutely no difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, how
it's because you're a professional and
you're a professional.
You know I mean? Exactly. Once that cage door closes, like I have a job, laser beam focus, like it makes absolutely no difference whether or not I like you, whether or not we're best friends. Like, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to fight my best friend, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But like,
about that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, like we're going to get locked in a cage in our underwear and we're going to try and kill each other. Like, essentially. And that's that.
All right.
And you had to throw in the underwear part.
Huh?
And you had to throw in the underwear part.
Well,
low key, like, I mean, I fight in Valley Tudo shorts. Like,
I'd fight in the biggest, baggiest shorts they'd give me. I do not like that. It makes me.
I don't wear the short. I don't wear the short Valley Tudos. I wear like the knee length.
The medium,
the mediums. Yeah, I wear the I used to wear the small ones, but they
short
too high. Wasn't super comfortable.
I said underwear. I'm the girl in the conversation. I said underwear. I'm just trying to sell tickets for you guys. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Get it. You guys sell tickets.
I think that place is going to be sold out in the next week.
I think so too.
I think it's dude. I've already heard that all the cage side tables are gone already.
Oh, they were gone. They were gone
within a couple hours.
Within a couple hours, gone.
That dude.
Yeah.
I blame Bobby King, and I told him that on the podcast.
It's all Bobby.
He always sells a ton of tickets, and I guarantee that. I'm not trying to start a beef because Bobby would murder me. And I like Bobby, but I guarantee that he's like called up. He's like, I'll take all of them. Not him, but his girl.
Well, having Steve on that card too is phenomenal. Like this is the first fight back in how many years in Utah? Like, I'm sure he.
So I feel like honestly, like I kind of feel like special that I get the card that it is because it's the tribute to Will card.
Yeah.
And B, like to be able to fight on a card with like Steve Seiler, like that's pretty freaking cool. You know what I mean? Like I kind of feel special to be part of that.
I was talking to Cole Faust from my gym is fighting that night as well, and me and Cole we were doing jiu-jitsu together, and we were just talking about how cool of an experience it's going to be. Me and him are both fighting for AMI titles, but like I feel like it's really cool that I'm fighting a dude that has Jeremy Horn in his corner, like it's Jeremy freaking Horn. I'm fighting, and I'm fighting on basically an undercard of people that I think are like either already established as big names in the sports or like future big names in the sport.
Right.
Like I think you're going to look back on this card and be like, there's so many guys, Mitch, you guys, like there's so many guys too that Bobby could get a really big call up if he could pull off a big win on this. Like it's nuts. And I'm so grateful that I'm going to be one of the first like 3 fights. and I can go watch y'all do your thing and go relax after our fight.
Yeah, dude. I saw it. So when they released the lineup, I was like, somebody was like, "Oh, you're the 10th fight," and I was like, "Come on, 10 fights, maybe 12 fights." I'm like right before the co-main. I'm gonna be back there forever, I want to see some of these fights. And then it was like, "Oh no, there's some amateur fights." Okay, so I'm like middle of the card, so I still get to see some of them.
Is there a fight on there besides your own, beside each other's fights? Is there a fight on there that's gonna stand out? I'm gonna say besides Steve too, because you guys train.
Obviously,
besides the main event.
Yes,
yeah.
Of course.
Is there any fight out there that's really stands out? Steve Sharp.
And Skylar Frazier's coming back.
Yeah, Skylar's gonna fight again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him too.
Did you guys?
Gonna be a good fight, I think.
I don't know.
They fought before, so they're gonna be in there trying to.
I don't know how.
One way or another.
I don't know how.
Teammate Robbie Miner is making his pro debut.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot Robbie's making his pro debut.
He's super talented.
Yeah, Robbie's a stud, man. He's Is Steve been training with you guys?
So I mean, we've seen him at the pit a few different times. Yeah, he's been like stopping in, getting some rounds, and I don't know where he's doing his full camp at, but he's definitely like mixing in bits and pieces and moving around. And
he was the man back in the day. Back in the day, locally, he was the man. Razor Sharp was I remember watching him 20 years ago.
Early in our amateur careers, we used to train with Steve every chance we could get when he would come in, and we would be like, yes, Steve's here. We'd put our gym bag back down and be like, I'm not leaving, I'm staying. He's the man. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's always helpful, always, martial artist, man, respectful, no, not egotistical, very humble guy. He'll hit you hard with something and then give you an explanation as to how to not get hit by that again, so.
Do you guys want to hear a cool story about Steve?
Yes.
1000%.
As a smaller girl in the gym, sometimes like a newer, bigger guy will just kind of put his hands down, somebody who doesn't know me, and he doesn't realize I actually hit pretty hard, and he'll be like, "Oh, go ahead," and I'm like, I take that as a defense, so I'm like, okay, and I'll give them a lot of love there, right? And then they immediately put their hands up, and they never say that to me again, except Steve Sharp. That is the toughest man I have ever seen in my life. I literally was hitting him as hard as I could. I could feel, when you feel your knuckles. Play, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He'll play with you a little bit.
You feel those knuckles go through your glove and hit their skull or their cheekbone. You can feel it. And he was just like, not bad. Kind of thing. And I was like, toughest dude I know.
Because he's from the west side. He's from the west side. That's why.
Yeah. It's going to be a good card, man. I mean, everything from your fight too, Zach, right? All the amateur fights are good, man. They're going to be fun. It's a cool card, dude, and I love it because it's I like that they're including some amateurs too, and showing guys that are right, because it's there's stages to it, right? We got to give love to the full spectrum, right, and develop guys and get them some of that exposure, right? That's really cool that there's guys like you that that get that big stage experience before they have to actually turn pro, right? So I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that, and that it's just gonna be an awesome experience for fans, man. I love being able to tell people look, even if you missed my fight, if you buy a ticket from me, you're going to be entertained. These guys, 1000%. Nobody, you're not gonna have any there's not gonna really be boring fights. It's not, because sometimes, sorry guys, there's camera, the phone over here. But,
it's totally fine.
But sometimes, I feel if the skill set is really low, all that can happen is a sweaty, exhausted, fumbling, bumbling mess, and then people are just kind of what in the hell was that?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a train wreck, and I mean, while it's fun and it's good to get guys experience, that's not the real authentic to me at least the martial arts disciplined two warriors trying to exploit the other and put on a show for a group of people.
And I think we're seeing a wave. I said it. So on my last card for Steel Fist, there was, what'd you say, Jason? Wasn't there 3 amateur fights that were all debuters? All fighters were all, but they were good. I think it was
high level.
It was Dane and Amy had a couple of those guys, and what they were good. I think we're almost even getting past, even at the amateur level, a little bit past the dudes that don't train and just like want to come in and be like, I'm a cage fighter, but like you said, kind of turns into a slop fest because they're gassed out after 45 seconds of throwing haymakers and nobody gets knocked out because none of them land because they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. And then it goes to the ground, and neither of them have ever
quits on the stool.
Or you get the guy that quits on the stool, or somebody's trying rear naked chokes without hooks in, or arm barring the wrong arm, all this stuff, right? But like we don't see that as much anymore. And Still Fist I'll give them props too, because they do a great job of they put on those amateur cards that I feel like are just getting better and better and preparing a lot of fighters. And I think we have a big wave of fighters that are coming that are going to make a lot of noise from this part of the.
Sorry. Yeah. My phone is like trying to get my phone to charge
our phone.
Oh,
that's why I left, because my phone was dying.
Totally fine. Yeah. The video, we'll upload the audio, so the audio will be totally separate on the podcast, so nobody will even see that part.
Okay, word. That's good. I'm just hoping the phone doesn't die. I think it's charging now.
Sweet.
But yeah, I think that we're excited. That's the bottom line. Is like, if you guys can't tell, we actually really enjoy doing this. We love this. Like, I really, I got injured a few months back. I had a pretty good significant shoulder injury, all healed up now. We got it fixed, but that made me realize, like, whoa, like how much, because sometimes you're in the mix, man, you're training all the time. Like, something you love becomes a chore. Right. And and I feel that time off, like, reignite that side of like, man, like, I really like doing this. Like, nice. I'm like excited to go to the gym again. Like, yes, like, almost, years and years in, you start getting that Groundhog Day syndrome, right?
Yep.
It's like
100%
over and over, and it's, but that was almost like the best thing. Like, it sucked. Obviously, having an injury sucks, but it's one of the best things that's happened. I think kind of like got me some time to sit back and go, where am I going? How do we get there? And
back in love with it again.
Yeah.
Back in love.
Heck yeah.
Cool. Hey, do you guys have any sponsors you want to give any shout outs to?
Ultimate Sports Performance and Rehab.
Yep.
They've always, he works there, and they've supported us since day one. Dr. Pat, he's also our wrestling coach.
Yeah, he's badass.
He's badass. And like, I feel like, and the thing that I love most about him is when we go in and I'm like, man, like, I shot a double leg and something happened to my shoulder. He's like, oh, okay, I know what you did. You're fine. Like, you're fine. While other doctors are like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? He's like, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Can't listen to doctors about fighters' injuries. They don't know.
He's a wrestler, and he's fought before, though, so he gets it. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
And then for me, I've got Ladder Nutrition. They've been hooking me up with some really good supplements that I've really enjoyed. Athlete performance-based supplements. So at Ladder Nutrition, HKA sent me some stuff for this camp that I'm enjoying, new pair of gloves and whatnot. So shout them out. Need some new gloves. They make some good stuff. And then also Our Life CBD tends to send me some good care packs whenever I fight or whenever I ask for it. So appreciate you guys as well. And hey, if you're looking to get on the shorts and you're looking to support us as we move up and get to that next level, as we're getting to come hell or high water, here's the time, right? Because the longer you wait, right, the higher the entry point. So
100%.
We also want to shout out a lot of people ask us where we train.
Yeah.
So the Pit, Salt Lake City, of course.
Yeah, everybody knows that one.
We also drive to Utah County every day.
We took trouble.
So Utah County, we train out of Agima MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. That's located in the Provo Town Center Mall. They are excellent.
Killer.
Dane and Amy, awesome. Shout out to those guys.
And then if you're in the Orem area, I also train at Wasatch Combat Sports. Mm-hmm. Love the energy in there.
And we also both work with Denver Nerva.
Yeah, he's our striking coach.
He's one of our coaches. Helps us. He's a guy who's fun, has a lot of experience, and has been for our whole careers. Honestly, we've known him our whole careers.
Me from a baby.
Yeah,
basically.
That was the first guy who put small gloves on with me and made me grapple with punches with him, and he beat my ass. Right, that was shit! Like, when punches are thrown, this is really different.
This is different.
Yeah, this is a little odd. Yeah,
I got 20 pounds on him. So that He's a good friend of ours, and I know he's doing things with that, so we got to give him some love too.
We wouldn't be anywhere near where we are today without Denver.
Yeah, so he's always taking time to help us out.
That's so cool.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Well, this is by far the longest spotlight, but there are two of you, so I feel like it's justified.
It's justified. It was good.
That's it. We'll try.
We're big talkers, I guess.
Yeah.
For anybody listening, if you need tickets, reach out to these guys now. Do not wait till the last minute, because I promise it'll be sold out. I keep saying this on every podcast. Do not wait. Reach out to these guys. Get your tickets now, because it's going to be fireworks.
And I will
_ Ramirez for Instagram.
Yeah.
At Recklessula, Soula.
DM, show some love on a comment, story, whatever.
I'll make sure I'll make sure if you guys can get me a list of your sponsors, I'll make sure they get on the podcast notes so people can see that on the podcast notes.
Killer. All right, guys.
Thank you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys reaching out.
Yeah, of course.
Zach, did you have something else, Zach?
I was just going to say, I'll bet anybody that wants $1,000 that all three of us get hit up the week of the fight for tickets.
Yeah, no, it happens.
It's going to happen.
50% of your tickets will be sold in the last 3 days.
But they're all leaks now, so that's okay.
There's no excuse. Yeah, it'll be nice when I'm not like cutting the last couple pounds, getting text messages in the sauna, being like, "Hey, you still have 2 tickets?"
I've left
it's like
in my bag and been
it's like, go sit on a stick, dude.
Tell them it's in the side pocket.
Yeah, just get it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again for taking time out of your night. Greatly appreciate it. Can't wait to watch you guys throw down.
Likewise. Thanks for having us, guys.
Have a good night.
We out. Thanks, guys.
See ya.